My name is Kristiane Midtaune. I used to work as a scientific assistant at NTNU up until 2018. And then I moved to Australia and unfortunately have to resign. But then luckily they keep contacting me asking me if I can join something like this. So thank you so much for inviting me to have this seminar. I just wanted to get started by sharing my screen. Hang on. And then if we can get it on, set my, there we go. I hope everyone can see that. Unfortunately, when I share my screen, I can't see your comments. So if you have any comments, then write them down and Jacob will address them and let me know. So I'm going to talk a bit about Australia's climate, and as the title is saying, more specific about the fires we had to deal with last year and a little bit this year as well. I divided it in two parts. So the first part is based on the article that I sent you, and I hope all of you have read it. And there will also be a little video clip to sort of give a better impression of what actually happened. We're going to discuss these topics in separate groups and then have a chat in plenum afterwards. And part number two, I also gave you a task to check out this NASA's worldview, also called EOS GIS worldview. So I'll just have a little sort of demonstration about maybe some things you haven't tested, maybe you have, and then we'll.
Kristiane?
Yeah?
Jirka says we don't hear it. Jirka, you don't hear Kristiane, or am I slow here now? We hear it. It's okay. For the checks also now? Jirka, what about you? Okay, it was the background noise. Oh, sorry, then go on, Kristiane.
All good? Okay, that's good. And do let me know if I'm talking too fast. Yeah, so the fires as well, we'll have a bit of a discussion and then in groups and then in plenum and a bit of a summary at the end. So I'll just start this video and enjoy.
Maybe we might get something in a month's time. There's just nothing on the forecast and there's nothing out there but dirt.
Day countdown reveals major official day zero predictions reveal the time major dams and rivers will no longer be able to supply drinking water. It's the result of record low rainfall combined with hot temperatures scorching the earth.
The dams are going to run out, the water's going to run out.
Scott, we've said it's a crisis, now what?
Day zero is approaching when rivers and dams will run completely dry.
Our towns run dry, the crisis is now at breaking point for our farmers. Mass evacuation this morning along Australia's southeastern coast, with bushfires looming and extreme danger ahead. A heat wave expected to push temperatures over 100 degrees Fahrenheit by the weekend. Tourists, residents, everybody being told to get out. Thousands of people remain stranded on beaches, figuring the water may be their only escape.
Practically a war zone, it's just ridiculous.
Local fire brigades, mostly volunteers, are doing what they can to help keep the fires from spreading. But the threat here is unprecedented. With over 100 fires burning in New South Wales alone, barely half of them are contained. At times, firefighters battling flames over 200 feet high. One of the biggest concerns, wildlife caught in the fire's path. Images of residents saving koalas going viral. And while authorities say there's no way of telling how many animals have been killed, experts say it's likely to be in the millions.
From flames to flash floods. Just a week ago, staff at this nature park were protecting their animals from oncoming bushfires. Now they're having to deal with another extreme. Staff rushed koalas to safety, Whilst the creatures more used to the wet, it was more about keeping them in their place.
Right. I hope you all enjoy that, or maybe not enjoyed it so much. It's pretty dramatic what's been happening this last year. But I hope that gives you sort of an encouragement to work in groups about the different topics. So I think you saw that it started with the drought, and then it moved over to the fire, and then the floods. And it's not actually that straightforward what it's been the last year. It's been drought and then floods and then drought again and fires, and it's been all over the place. And also Australia is so big that it's been floods in one area and fire in another one. But before I talk any more about that, I do want you guys to work in groups to discuss this. And I wanted to go more in specific about how one of the topics that your group is working on will affect and will be affected by the water resources in Australia. So the groups are based on the previous groups that's used in EduChange. So group 1 will go to room 1. And that's Martin, you're the first one there. So the first one named is the one who has to take the notes, unfortunately. But we really want you to write down now notes so we can share them afterwards and everyone can know what they've been discussing when it comes to the different topics. So group 1 and 2, remember your name here. You're going to work with drought. Group 3 and 4 is going to work with fire and how fire been affecting and is affecting water. And then 5 and 6 with flood.
So this is ambitious now, so please write down and please be quick going in and out of the different groups, because after 10 minutes the plan is that we are again meeting in 2 groups, so we are splitting the whole group into 2. So then do you have the plan here, Kristiane? They can write it down where to go next.
Yes, the next one you'll meet in room 7 and room 8.
So if you now are in group 3, for example, then after 10 minutes, so 9:22, I guess, you need some time to go into the groups now. Then you are going out of room 3 and into room 7. And then we have a group discussion there where you are presenting your notes. So then it's the first person of each group are presenting the notes from fire, from floods, and from all 3 themes.
So everyone write down your group number. So check the line where your name is and what number you've got, and then write down where your group is going, what topic it's going to talk about and discuss, and then write down which room you're going to afterwards. So if you got all this, we'll also come into your group rooms and remind you when the time is almost due of where you're going next. Okay?
And it's great if the teachers are also spreading a bit out. So if Jirka goes to room 3, Vitt to room 4, Yarda room 5, and Bauke and Tim, I don't know if you're both there, to room 6, and Paul, you choose, then we have some teachers in each room.
Algo, please repeat which room for me.
Room 4.
Room 4, thank you.
Should we give them, Kristiane? Should we meet in 15 minutes from now in the big room? We have time for that, I think.
15 minutes. So that means that at what's the time?
In group 7 and 8.
Yep. So that's 15 minutes. That's almost 30. So 9:30.
I need some time for going in and out. Can we see the questions one more time?
Yes. So the questions are, might be worth writing this down as well. How do your topic, so either drought, fire, or flood, how has that been affected by and are affecting the water resources in Australia? So not just the short term, but also long term. And do remember to take
any more
notes.
questions? No?
Okay.
Then we meet in
See you
group
later.
7 and 8 again. Yeah, just before 9:30. Good luck in the groups.
Good luck.
Okay, yeah, good. Hallo?
Jakob, du er på lyd. Snakker du? Hvem snakker du til?
Sorry.
Excuse me, Erko. Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
Kristiane, are you back here? No?
Hello?
Hi, you're here?
We're here. We just finished up another group. So I'll just
Okay,
give
then.
them, I see
A
they
minute or two then.
So give them another minute, maybe.
Sounds good.
I'll just get the PowerPoint ready then. See how many we're on. So there's 30 now. I think that's everyone. And then if anyone is a bit late, they'll come in when they're ready. Okay. So I'll share my screen again. And then, can you see this part 2?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So that was meant to be a little bit of introduction to Australia, to the challenges the country has had, because my title of this seminar was about fighting fires in Australia with GIS. So that's what we're going into now. I don't know how much experience you've got in GIS, but I would recommend everyone to get a little bit of experience with that, because that is actually how I got a job, my first job in the government here in Australia. So I started working for the Queensland government under a team that was called Koala Habitat Restoration Team. And I was making fire management maps. So basically it was a map showing the different types of vegetation and which one was more prone to fires. So where the trees were old, they burn faster. If there's a lot of dead material, for example, the different types of trees. So eucalyptus is a tree that actually that has an explosion when it gets too hot, and it excretes a sort of you can call it what do you call the thing you put on fires to make them just explode? You know, it increased to the fire and it moved very quickly through that area. So that was my first job. Then I moved over to the Koala Survey team and did some more mapping there as well. And now I'm working for a team called Spatial Services under the Queensland Parks and Wildlife Services. And in this team, I'm creating all sorts of maps based on what the rangers and what the planners want, that is working within the Queensland Parks and Wildlife Services. And as a part of that, I've been working with the fire management, and these are some of the tools that we're using. We are looking at the wildfire risk ratings. So that's what I talked about, the map I was creating with, you have many more factors into it as well. It's, you know, the wind direction, the wind speed, the elevation, precipitation, lots. And this is a dashboard to show that sort of area. NASA has got another app as well called FIRBS that is very directly to fires, so you can actually get alerts when it's a fire in your area. So I would definitely recommend you guys to have a look at this one as well. Just didn't want to confuse with too many apps. Most of these ones are unfortunately within the government website, so you need to ask for access, but this one is open for everyone. And then there's Sentinel Hub, which I've used a lot for mapping to date the fires to see exactly where they are. So I would also recommend you to have a look at that. I'll send you all a spreadsheet with more links to some of these tools that you can have a look at, but I won't give off too much right now. But the one we have looked at, or hopefully you guys have had a bit of play with before this lecture, is the NASA Worldview. So I just wanted to show you a few extra things that I thought could be handy for you to show the teachers, the students, and then we're going over to our group tasks. So let me see if I can move over to the here. You can still see my screen, right? Yeah. So everyone has, sorry.
Yes, I just replied. We can see your screen.
Okay. So when you log into this site, the first thing that came up was a big with already made data layers and also time lapse. So I won't go through them because we've already, you should have already had a look at that. But I wanted to combine what you read in the article with this tool. So remember they mentioned the cyclone Trevor and the cyclone Veronica that caused this massive flood up in North Queensland. Do you know which date the date they hit the country? They hit up here. So I should show you this. This is where I live. This is Brisbane. And all of this is Queensland. So yeah, can anyone give me the date?
It was sometime in March.
Yeah, well done. So the Veronica hit first, and that was in the 18th of March. So I'm using this one to move to March. Since it's so like almost a year back, I can go in here and then go a year back, and then I'm actually on March. And then if I want to do that until the 18th, I Google it to find the date. Then I can see the picture here. And do you guys see that cyclone creating up there? Okay, so I'll just zoom in a bit on that. Let's move the cursor a bit around so if we can zoom in a bit more. So because the Earth is not flat and the picture is taken flat, we get these gaps here, unfortunately. And it's really unlucky that it comes straight on this spot. But then if I want to move this that way, and I can look at this date by date. So see how this cyclone is moving across. So now it's on the 18th, that's when it's forming and hitting the coast. Just take a bit of time to load. See how it's like now moved a bit further up and further in. Oh, it's in the middle of the gap there, which is frustrating. Right, so now it's moving across. You see it's going into the Gulf of Carpentaria. And then what I wanted to show you guys is that if you want to capture this, say that you want to show your students how it's how it's hitting just that corner here, you can actually go in here, to the take a snapshot picture. And then you decide the area. So I can move this square around and I can extend it. I want it just to be there. And then you can get it as a JPEG, so you can just add that to a PowerPoint. But actually, if you get it as a KMZ file, you can open it in Google Earth, and that's what I was thinking we should do. So downloading this one. See, I get it there. And then if I open, it actually takes a while because I took a pretty big area, and it's also Imager, which is a raster file, and that all pixels are just much bigger than a vector one. Right. So I should turn up the ones I took before. This one is actually a layer got from that other NASA one, which is called firms. So you can do the same with that tool. You can go in and export a layer, and you can open it here, and then you can actually click on it and get the information. But it's more about the area of it. So when this one, have you guys used Google Earth before? At least you can just go online and download it. It doesn't cost anything at all. And you can upload different layers here and just save them. And you can also create routes and fly through the country and show lots of cool stuff. So there, I'm just gonna, I'll do that. Okay. There we go. So if I just lift it and drag it up here, it comes up at the bottom. And then it automatically zoom into that area. And then you can see here that on top of the Google Earth, I've already got this cyclone visible for the students. And then they can do, you know, turn that on and off, and they can experiment with different layers and so on. So really cool tool. So I just wanted to show you that one with this world view. And I also wanted to make sure that all of you guys have had a look at the different layers. So maybe you don't understand what all of this is, but it's actually pretty well described in this information here. So how is that, those red dots, fire dots, how do they actually create that? That's also something to show the students. And they have events, which is pretty cool. So these ones are in California, but if I click on this, only show events in current view, they will come up in this area. And then just zoom out a bit so we might get some more events. And it can also be related to the time. So for example, now it's in March. Maybe if I moved it up to April. Yeah, so I don't want to show the eruption, which is pretty cool too. Out here on the islands. So one more thing, you can add layers as well. This one is a really cool tool. So it's organized into different topics. So this on the fire ones, you can add aerosols. So aerosols are particles in the earth. You can see the earth at night. You can do storms. You can do floods. So, for example, if you want to use this with the students, you can get them to look into different topics. Vegetation, you know, smoke. You saw that. I hope you saw the smoke one with the how the smoke from the fires in Australia were transported across all the way to South America due to the winds. If you haven't, then you should definitely do that. But yeah, I hope this tool can give you lots of good ideas to how you can use it with students, give tasks related to the different topics. And then, as I've said that, I want you guys to think about a similar thing. So the next task for this session is to discuss in groups. So we'll do it the same as last time. Group 1 goes in room 1, group 2 goes in group 2. So I hope you've all written this down. And then we have another 10 minutes where you're going to use Google's, your brains, twist and turn them, whatever help you need to try and find good mapping tools, GIS tools that you can use in your teaching with climate change related. So it doesn't have to be only fires, but it would be great if you find some more fire related tools. Remember to take notes. And since the time is, for you 10:01, then we'll say 15 past. So you get those time to move across to the other room as well. Okay, I'll just say
one note. And if you really get stuck on how on the different tools, you could also discuss how to use it, how to use the different tools in different ages or different areas. Is it nice connections with other disciplines for interdisciplinary work? Try to use this as a grounding point for how to teach climate change with GIS tools, but also please try to answer the task from Kristiane. Just think that in 10 minutes it might be also hard to find new tools. So if you get stuck, don't stop the discussion.
And then also like why you're choosing this one. So be aware of your choices. Okay, good. We will talk soon. See you.
Wait a minute, Kristiane. It's a question. Do you mean the topic from just now?
Yeah, the ones that are here. That's what you're going to discuss.
It's clear, Lois.
Mapping tools. Find mapping tools that you're going to use with the students.
Yes. Thanks.
How you want to use them and what. Good. See you then.
And then we see you back here in 15 minutes. That's right?
Yeah, so 15:15.
Yes. Okay.
Perfect. Bye. Hello, everyone. It's getting cold here, so I put my blanket on.
I think we'll wait 1 or 2 more minutes, Kristiane. I see that we are still missing a couple of. Yeah, now they are entering the room.
Yep.
Jacob.
Yes.
I've posted on the chat some information continuing on what Kristiane said about those visualizations from NASA.
Yes.
Maybe you can highlight it for the rest of the group so that they notice it, please.
I will.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
I think we've got almost everyone now. It's 29 in the meeting, so
sounds good.
I guess we can start then. I thought I'll leave this time up for you guys to ask, bombard me with questions, bombard the rest of the group with questions. It's been going a bit quick and it's been sort of a little bit here, a little bit there, but I guess you haven't had time to really sit down and get a sort of a thorough picture of the 2 different topics you were doing. So I'll open up for a group discussion. Jacob is the master of the chat, so he'll be watching what you guys write and bring it up to me, and then I'll try to answer as best as I can. And if someone else has got the answer to it as well, I'm happy to let you guys answer each other.
And before questions are coming in, I would just really admire all of you for really nice discussions and yeah, really participating. Very, very nice to go in and out of the different groups.
And I'm also very impressed on how quickly you guys organized in groups and got started the discussion. So it's really impressive. I guess I may gave you a big challenge here today. So, but it seems like you can handle it, which is great. And that's also something to consider when you're doing this with the students, you know, would they be able to handle this sort of stuff? And
okay, so first question from Lois. I was wondering if some areas in Australia are experiencing problems with salty ocean water interfering with bodies of fresh water in periods of droughts.
Oh, tricky one. This is hardcore. Well, you know, you have brackish water, but I guess that's not what you're talking about here, as like the salt water coming up into the freshwater stream. You're talking about. Oh, will you elaborate a little bit on that?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, it was more. I know that it might sometimes interfere with groundwater. So if salty seawater is able to seep through in some way, then if groundwater aquifers are emptied in such a pace and such an extent, then salty water can enter through groundwater aquifers sometimes. I know that's a problem here in the Netherlands, but that's maybe also because we're so close to sea level. I'm not sure if Australia is having such same problems as well.
You know, for that I cannot answer. I never heard about that as a big problem. I guess that's when you get the seawater coming in over the dices, right?
No, but also if I think for islands also the seawater could go into the groundwater inland and also for low areas. But if you haven't heard about it, I think you're working with these issues, so I think it would be a problem. Or no, you would have heard about it if it was a problem, Kristiane.
Well, it can be a problem in maybe like the bigger,
Some
not bigger,
areas.
something. Say that because I haven't heard it, it doesn't exist.
Oh no.
But I can encourage you to look, Google it.
Okay.
I've written down the questions, so I'll have a look at it. If I find the answer, I'll post it to you guys.
Quite a big question from Selina. Could you give some information on aerosols effect in fires and water cycle regarding cooling effects?
God. Okay, aerosols effect on cooling. So I don't know how much of this has been talking about in your climate change lectures, but aerosols is like minuscule particles that float around in the atmosphere and kind of create, same as clouds, is create a buffer between the sun and the ground. So if you've got a lot of aerosols, so for example, after a volcanic outbreak, you get a lot of particles in the air. And one of the volcanoes that I visited in Indonesia last year actually created winter for the whole world for a whole year because it got so many particles, aerosols in the air. So the same with Australia as well with these fires. But if you saw that NASA one, the smoke moved across to South America, so it didn't actually stay around Australia or went inland. So I don't think that it had much effect on the temperature in that sense. But sure, a little bit, but not like.
I haven't seen any numbers of how it affects, like if it actually affects global temperature.
Or because of the amount.
Yeah, that it's really making more. Yeah, it's like artificial clouds, you should say.
Yeah. So on the global temperature, not the local. Ooh,
And can I ask something to that question?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know about the cooling, but does it affect the health of people? I think aerosols for people that are asthmatic like me can have a big impact as well.
Oh my God, like the pollution level in the cities never been so bad, especially Sydney, because they had the fires very close to the city. And it was like, shit, I should have the numbers. I haven't seen them, but they were like hundreds of times bigger than they normally are. So they told elderly and people with asthma to not go out at all, to keep the windows closed and so on. They asked everyone to wear masks. So that was pretty serious, actually. Yeah, so it's definitely affecting the health of people.
Okay, so a question. Thank you. Question from Anna. Are there any advantages or disadvantages related to having both fires and floods within one country? Does it, for example, require more resources to handle two types of problems?
Well,
advantages.
If we start with advantages of the fires and the fire and flood. So fires, the advantages there is that some of the species, particularly the plant and tree species, need that to reproduce. So they have special cones that just open if it's hot enough on the ground. So they won't reproduce if it's on fire. And fires are a normal part of Australian cycle. There's always fires in the country. If you look at the map of current fires, you'll still see fires now, and that's natural, but just in smaller areas, and also usually control. And as I said to some of the groups, they have controlled fires as well. They call it backburning to reduce the amount of fuel, so we don't get these massive wildfires as we had now out of control. But they couldn't do that because the drought lasted for so long. They didn't want to take that risk to do any fires. And then it suddenly piled up with all this litter and leaves, dry leaves, and it really got this hot and ferocious fire. So yeah,
Can I follow up on that one? Is it also tradition in the agriculture in Australia to burn down for fertilizing the soil, as we do in the, or at least have been doing quite a lot on the islands in Norway, burning down whole islands for increasing the fertility?
The nutrient level in the soil. So
yeah.
It's really good for the soil. It's a lot of
yeah, but do you know if it is a tradition for doing it also as a part of the cycles of agriculture?
You know what? I haven't really heard about that, to be honest, which is interesting because we do it a lot, but we also do it along the fences and stuff like that. But it's something I'll have to check out because they usually do it more in the sense of forest.
Yeah. Okay, question from Henning. We are running out of time, it's 1 minute left. Are there any simple correlations students can look for in an application like NASA Worldwide? Can they look at the forest fire and predict its direction by, for example, the current wind direction?
That was a bit hard to hear. Can you say that one more time?
Sorry. Are there any simple correlations students can look at for in applications like NASA Worldwide? Worldview, can they look at forest fires and predict its direction by, for example, the current wind direction?
Ooh, yeah.
Is it like layers that you could turn on and off to actually see correlations visually?
That's not the best tool for that, actually, because then you're using this swipe tool would be better. And I don't know if you remember in the beginning that I showed you, but I'll open it now. I can actually share a screen because I had it open here. So all those different services, I said, you know, these ones. This one, Sentinel Hub EO, and it's actually Sentinel Explorer. Am I spelling this right? Yeah. This one here is a great one. So I hope that through your course you can get an ArcGIS account. That would be great. But you can also use it without that. But I figure out that it's actually to use the swipe tool and add at different times. So you need to log in. So if I log in with my work one, I can go here. Here I can set the different background. To now I can use natural color, but you can actually here also use burned index, so that can be great for that. But you set a time from before and after. So say I do last year in April, and I don't want so much clouds. I'm doing this a bit quick now. So you can play with this one as well. Just write down Sentinel Explorer, but it will be on my list of other tools that you can use. So I collected a few of them. So now I'm comparing these two dates, right? And then you can use the swipe tool here to check before and after.
Cool. Okay. And I think also this satellite imagery is really good for working together with physics classes or mathematics, with like to increase the amount of geography. At least in Norway, it's in high school, it's just 2 hours a week. Go together with physics or the natural sciences and look at for example, the electromagnetic spectrum and use it as examples for other courses. Be creative so we could expand the geography. Okay.
Also, sorry. I was also going to say that, you know, mixing courses together, you can use the map tool in social science, you know, talking about, so not trying to separate the different courses you're doing, but try to integrate them. But
okay, we are running up for time. We'll have one more question, and I guess we could stay here for 5 minutes in the break, but maybe some want to go then.
I just have one thing I want to show you before you all leave.
Okay, so do that first, and then we take the last questions for those that want.
I found this really amazing video on YouTube. Maybe I can just do full screen.
And while Kristiane is preparing that, I should shout out from Paul. He has been publishing also a website following up on some of the the visualization tools Kristiane spoke about before the last group work. So have a look in the chat and also save the URL from Paul. I just went into it, and I agree, it looks really helpful.
Perfect.
If you allow me
yes,
a slight comment, it's basically a tool, or rather a site, where besides doing what Kristiane has just pointed out, it also is coupled with lesson plans and lesson ideas from different countries that you can actually adopt, and also as it is, without being a member, you can just make use of the database. But if you're a member and you get the training which is online, you can actually input data on the database from NASA and NOAA. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul. That was very good that you mentioned that. Yeah, so do really play some more with that tool. I wish I had more time to show you, but you got a snippet. And this is a snippet, just a sort of take home of how quickly the water just flooded the areas up north. Hi. Whoa, that didn't work out.
No, we are not seeing your screen.
Antia. Hang on. Okay, there we go. How's that?
No, not seeing the screen either. We are hearing the sound. You could post the URL, Kristiane.
Can you see it now? Now?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
Sorry for going 3 minutes over the time now, but.
Well, like, you can go either ones you want to. This is break input.
Wow.
Thank you, everyone.
So we will, Yardar wants 30 seconds before most of you leave, and then we will stay here for 5 more minutes for those of you who want to hear more of the questions. Yardar, please.
Yeah. Okay, I just want to say thank you very much, Kristiane. It's so nice to follow former students and student assistants growing into being employees and going to mean something in the world. So I think this is also a sort of invitation for all you other students. Just go on, and we will see you as participants in the society and important persons for education and the world and the environment. Thank you, Kristiane.
Thank you, Yardar. It's been my pleasure.
Thank you, Kristiane.
Okay, do you want to have a couple of more questions, Kristiane, for those who want to stay?